Hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to go over all the common issues and things that you should look over before you buy the first gen Chevy Cruze. Well, and the Sonic too. One of the two most expensive repairs on the Chevy Cruze is related to the turbo on the 1.4 liters. The actuator pin on the wastegate at the turbo ends up malfunctioning. Gradually, it will damage the turbo blades, which will worsen over a short period of time. You basically start to have a dull, slow-feeling car. You may even have some blue smoke coming from the tailpipe, and ultimately you can also burn up the catalytic converter. There have also been very few reports of the damaged turbo shooting metal into the engine and basically ruining the engine. You can buy a replacement turbo off Amazon for about $500 to $600 and replace it yourself, or you can get it replaced for about $15,000 at a local mechanic shop. Some say that the oil cooler line that's running underneath the exhaust manifold is clogging up and causing this issue. So replacing that oil cooler line is probably a good idea if you want to prevent the turbo from failing if it hasn't failed yet. Throttle lag is also a common issue. It's not really a common issue, it's just how the car drives. It's basically just the ECU checking all the safety checks before it tells the car to go faster. You can get a throttle controller, which should fix that throttle lag. Once again, with the 1.4 liters, coolant leaks is very common. This car was around $15,000 new, and because it's so cheap, they use a lot of cheap parts, and a lot of these parts being plastic, and they fail. The water pump fails, that's common. The thermostat housing fails, that's common, it's plastic. They do make a metal replacement, so replace it with a metal one, that's a good idea. And the water outlet hose can also crack because that is made out of plastic. The good news is that it's pretty easy to get to all that stuff. The water pump is just the most difficult part. You just gotta jack up the car, remove the motor mount, and you can get to the water pump. Misfires is also very common with these Chevy Cruzes with P0300 all the way up to P0312. Almost majority of the time it's gonna be the coil pack. So you just gotta replace that entire coil pack. They do make aftermarket coil sleeves that you could replace it with, and what I would do is just buy an aftermarket coil pack replacement. That's what I would do. We're at the second most expensive issue with these Chevy Cruzes. So from 2013 all the way to 2015, they can blow head gaskets. It has been reported mainly on these 3 years. Basically what happens is that the car overheats and they blow that head gasket. When the head gasket blows, the coolant will mix with the oil and it'll look like some sort of weird chocolate shake. You don't want that in your engine. That prevents the car from lubricating properly. And basically what's happening, that coolant is rushing into the piston heads and you're gonna be burning up a lot of that coolant. You might smell a sweet burning smell coming from the exhaust, and you keep topping off and you keep getting low in coolant and it's not on the ground. It's most likely in your engine being burnt off and mixing with the coolant. And if you run that for long enough, you will ultimately throw a rod. Mainly reported on the 2015 model with the 1.4 liter as well. When the engine overheats, there has been a lot of reports of the cylinder head cracking. It's common for the thermostat to get stuck closed. So that might very well be the reason why the engine is overheating and blowing the head gasket. It's because the thermostat is stuck closed. The front crank oil seal leaks oil. That's a very common issue. You just have to remove the crank pulley and remove that oil seal and just replace it. The steering column can become notchy. Basically the gears are not lining up properly and they might be wearing. So if it keeps worsening, you might have to replace the electric power steering. Okay, so that was a breakdown of mainly the 1.4 liters. The diesels have an issue with the EGRs going bad, and the 1.8 liters have far less issues than the 1.4 liters. So if you were looking for a Chevy Cruze, I would opt in for the 1.8 liter. If you do end up getting the 1.4 liter and you got it for a really good deal and you're mechanically handy, you're expecting to work on this car, good news, the engine bay is very easy to work on. You have a small engine and a fairly large engine bay, so you can get to just about anything you need. What I personally would do is buy the Chevy Cruze and replace all the common issues I just mentioned. And then you should be pretty safe. There have been many Chevy Cruzes lasting over 200,000 miles. It's funny because the Chevy Cruze owners are like, my Chevy Cruze has been reliable after I fixed this, and this. And that's basically to sum up with the story. I've come to realize that there's a lot of people looking to buy cars and they kind of skip over all the common issues that they should at least acknowledge before they buy the car. So you're not going and buying a car that has all these issues and you just kind of look over it almost blindly. And I'm just here to help people save a little bit of money. This is Chris AutoMotivate. Always appreciate and respect one another. I'll see you in the next video.